Hello and welcome back to Stories of the Prophets, Day 2 on the second day of Ramadan. So far, Ramadan has been a little bit challenging. It does take a bit of a toll on an individual, especially when you can't have water for so many hours. But after a few days, the body naturally adapts to the new motives, the new way that it's working. Now, in today's story, I'm going to be continuing a little bit about Prophet Adam as-salam and his two sons, Qabil and Habil, translated from the Arabic text as Abel and Cain. Habil and Qabil are believed by Muslims to be the first two sons of Adam and Hawa, as that is mentioned in the Quran. Of Adam's first children, Cain was the older son, while Abel was the younger. Each of them presented a sacrifice to God, but it was only accepted from Abel because the latter righteous attitude and his faith and firm belief in God. After the offering of their sacrifice, Cain, the wicked sibling, taunted Abel out of envy and told him that he will surely slay him. Abel justly warned Cain that God only accepted the sacrifice of those righteous in their doings. He further went on to tell Cain that if Cain did indeed try to slay him, Abel would not retaliate and slay him because the God-fearing would never murder this for the sake of envy. Abel then told Cain that in murdering him, he would carry the weight not only of his own sin, but the sin of his victim. The victim, as a result, in suffering the injustice, would be forgiven his own sins, and the murderer, while being warned, would coincidentally increase his own sin. Abel preached powerfully and reminded Cain that the punishment for murder would be that he would spend the rest of the afterlife in the fires of hell, which is translated in the Arabic text as Jahannam. The innocent pleading and preaching of Abel was no effect upon Cain. He was full of arrogance, pride, and jealousy. He slew the righteous Abel, but in doing so, he ruined himself and became those who remain lost. This would be the earliest example of murder of a righteous man taking place upon the earth. In the future, many other evil doers will slay the wise and pious believers. After the murder, Allah sent a crow, searching in the ground to show Cain how to hide the disgrace of his brother. Cain, in his own shame, began to curse himself and became full of guilt. The thought of the crime at last came to the murderer as he realized indeed in how dreadful it was to slay anyone, the more so as the victim was an innocent, righteous person. Full of regrets, Cain was marked with a deep sorrow. The Quran itself states, "And he became of the regretful." Chapter 5, verse 31. As it is mentioned in all religions, taking another life is one of the worst sins that you can commit, because that will stain your soul for all eternity, in this life and in the hereafter. In order to control your arrogance, learn to be grateful to other people. If a person's being more successful than you, wish them all the best. If a person is not doing something correctly, help guide them to do something correctly. But when you give into arrogance, when you give into greed, when you give into pride, it will consume you badly like a cancer. And it will be one of those cancers that you can never cure. Regardless of how much treatment that you want to take, you will never get rid of it. Learn to forgive, learn to forget, learn to move on with your own life. You are on your journey, other people are on theirs. At the end of the day, everybody will be questioned on their own actions, not other people's. In continuing with this story as well, the Quran states that the story of Cain and Abel was a message for mankind, as it's told them that the consequences of murder and that killing of a soul would be that the person had slain all of mankind. So if you take one life, feel like you have taken all of mankind with you. But the Quran states that still people reject the message of the story and continue to commit grave sins, such as slaying people, righteous individuals. All the prophets have preached, peace be upon them all. They preached since the time of Adam as-salam, were persecuted, insulted, and reviled in one way or another. But some righteous men, however, the Quran states that went one step further in attempting to slay them, or indeed slaying them. As for the slaying of the righteous person, it says, those who disbelieve in the signs of Allah and kill the prophets without right and kill those who order justice from among the people, give them tidings of a painful punishment. Moving on to the prophet story of Prophet Sheeth, which is translated as Seth, the chosen successor. After the tragic death of Habil Qabil at the hands of his brother Qabil Cain, Prophet Adam deeply mourned. But Allah in His wisdom blessed Adam and Hawa with another son, Sheeth. From birth, Sheeth was righteous, wise, and beloved by his parents. As Adam grew old, he saw that the world was changing. Corruption spread among the descendants of Qabil, who had settled in distant lands. Knowing that guidance was needed, Allah revealed to Adam that Sheeth would be his rightful successor, a prophet to guide humanity on the path of truth. Before Adam passed away, he entrusted Sheeth with sacred knowledge, the laws of Allah, the wisdom of past revelations, and the responsibility to lead the believers. Sheeth fulfilled his duty and with devotion, reminded people to worship only Allah and resent evil. Allah granted him scriptures, and he continued the mission of his father, teaching justice and faith. Under Sheeth's guidance, the believers flourished, but Qabil's descendants strayed further into sin. Despite Sheeth's effects, the world began to divide between righteousness and corruption. After a long and noble life, Sheeth passed away, leaving behind a legacy of faith. His teachings reminded with the righteousness, and his wisdom paved the way for future prophets who would continue guiding humanity. This resembles the saying that happens in today's society, you are the company that you keep. If you hang around with people who commit sin, who devote themselves into corruption, who have given into corruption, you yourself will surely be among those who are corrupted. But if you hang around with people who are highly educated, who are full of wisdom, who want what's best for you, regardless of who they are, they will help you get to where you need to go in life. So as the saying goes, choose your friends in the company that you keep. Very careful. Because once you give into the wrong stuff, it's hard to get out of it. Once you give into the right stuff, you'll be feeling better and you'll be blessed for all eternity. I hope you like this new story. There'll be more stories to come as well throughout this blessed month of Ramadan. I wish again Ramadan Kareem to everybody out there who's practicing this blessed month, and wish you nothing but the best. Don't forget to click subscribe, turn on notifications, as we have more stories coming your way as well. All the best. God bless.